Do you have a photograph?
Just for the record, we mentioned once about not having psukim on the talit, like any kind of words or blessings or things. I saw that Rabbi Yosef Masas was lenient about it. I just came across a letter of his. It's a book that's out of print, but because I'm writing a book on him, so I just was scanning through some PDFs that I have of his writings, and it just came in front of me, and it must have been a sign. On Rabbi Yosef Masas, was one of the giants of Morocco, Algeria. Yeah, and so B'ezrat Hashem, the book, we're working on it. I can't tell you when, but B'ezrat Hashem.
When did he live?
No, I passed away like in the 80s, maybe. What?
What is it special about him?
You'll read my book, you'll know.
It's a different Torah than what's going on.
You know what's so special about him? Is that he was one of the greatest rabbis who ever lived, and yet I don't know how many people in this room have ever heard of him. Aside from me or from... that's what's special about him. And Rabbi Yosef Masas, so it just came in front of me. I figured it must have been a sign that I should come and tell you that if you have something in your psukim, don't go home with a guilty conscience. There are chachamim that agree that it's okay. Especially Talitot today, so people take good care of them, they fold them, they put them in there. It's not an article of clothing you wear all the time that gets dirty. It's okay, so you have on who to rely. I'm just letting you know that was an opinion that I came across. We're up to 177 under the 2 lines. I remind you, we did 3 pieces of Maran. Maran was talking about taking off your talit to go to the bathroom, whether you make a blessing when you come back. Worst comes to worst, we're reviewing a little bit.
Which page we are starting now?
177 under the 2 lines. And so in the halakha bura. Haposhet talito me'alav. Somebody who takes off his talit. Al dat lachzor ulitatef ba. On the condition that he's right away coming back to put it on. So he's not taking it off for good, rather he's taking it off just for now. Im hu toch chatzi sha'a, if it's within half an hour, meaning half an hour must be this amount of time that's still not considered a hefsek, an interruption. And tzarich lachzor, you do not have to go back ulvarech and make a blessing aleha kshechozer lovsha, when you put the talit back on.
So that means when the Leviim go out to wash the hands here, because of our situation. For the Kohen,
It wouldn't be the same because here you're talking about a bathroom. We're going to see that in the next page.
so it's better he says.
Yeah, right, the bathroom is going to have its own situation. Though Rabbi David Yosef agrees with you. And even if you go into the bathroom and then you come out, when you come back and put on the talit, you don't make a second blessing.
Don't make a second.
But if you waited zman memushach for an extended amount of time, shel chatzi sha'a or yoter, half an hour or longer, meaning the cutting mark is half an hour. When you come back to put on the talit, you must make the blessing.
So how do they come up with these arbitrary times? It seems that they differ for different things. Like, for example, a motzi blessing is a particular amount of time. This is a particular amount of time.
I don't see its source in the Shulchan Aruch for it. Could be he's using a different measurement from somewhere else. My custom is the Maran straight, not Rabbi David Yosef. I go to the bathroom, I come back, I make a blessing on my talit. Yes, the Sephardic rabbis say I'm saying God's name in vain. Okay, I'm going to hell anyways, you know. Not so worried.
We don't say these things.
178.
So how do you reconcile the thing you just said with what the Maran said?
Maran says you take it off even for a second, you make a blessing again.
Oh, that's so much.
Rabbi David Yosef is being strict. He's afraid of saying God's name in vain because it seems like there are other rabbis who argue with Maran. This is again a situation where Sephardic rabbis don't follow Rabbi Yosef Karo. and I refuse to take their lead.
And as you taught us before, Sephardic rabbis are very afraid of taking Hashem's name.
Yes, it's like a big fear. To the point where entire halachot are forgotten from the Sephardic community because the rabbis have been so worried about saying Hashem's name. I don't take saying Hashem's name lightly. Rather, the Ashkenazim are more balanced in this regard. They don't say Hashem's name in strange places, like they'll sing Shabbat songs without Hashem's name in it. It's the strangest thing in the world.
Yeah.
It's a mistake. It's a big mistake.
Yeah, they always say Hashem.
Hashem,
Yeah.
or how many people have heard of Karibon?
Yeah.
Our parents once told us it's almost Avodah Zarah, because you're saying that Ka is the master of all the worlds. The Ka is not anything. Ka, I don't know, maybe there's an idol, but Yah is the master of all the worlds. Saying Hashem's name in vain? The song is not in vain. You're not singing it in vanity. You're singing it as a prayer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But they're very afraid. It's like a known thing. You know, to the point where even when we would sing in yeshiva, Habibi. We would sing Habibi. No, don't worry. They didn't say. We sang it. The people listened. After the meal, they would come in and listen. There's a certain part of the song. I'll tell you where. Hakel Hamelech Hakel. It's a Sephardic song, so we would never say Hakel. But there's another part we go Eli Eli la 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 la. Oh, it's Ozer Niachai. The famous song. The Lubavitch Rabbi loved the song. Ozreni El Chai Lehachniya Eli Eli. Everyone says Eli Eli. Now, from my understanding, from Paitanim that I've spoken to, it could be mistaken. Eli Eli is not Hashem's name. Rather, in Arabic, it's the kind of thing you say when continuing a song. It's like the Sephardic version of na 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 na. It's just an expression like Eli Eli. Right, like Allah Allah, right? It's not, no one's talking about Hashem over here. And so they say Keli Keli, but we're not even speaking about Hashem. It's interesting.
That means they don't know what they're saying.
And ironically, Sfaradim say Hashem's name in casual places way too often. You know, everything is, like you'll find a Sephardic person, like I swear in God's name, in Hebrew they'll say such things, where an Ashkenazi person will never say such a thing. It seems like the halachot are switched around. When it comes to casual expression or songs, Sfaradim all become Ashkenazi. And when it comes to casual expression and songs, Ashkenazim all become Sephardic. It's an interesting how the world works. So I'm saying in regards to brachot, we should be Ashkenazim. Don't hate me for it. You know what I'm... Yeah. Do they say Keli Keli?
No.
Okay. So we continue on page 178. V'im pashat talito me'alav bastam. If he took his talit off, bestam. What does stam mean?
Like, we're good.
No. What is stam?
Like you're doing it.
Yeah.
Just because?
Just because. Meaning he
Oh.
didn't have any specific intention in my putting it on, taking it off.
Why would he do that? Isn't everything supposed to be done with...
Yeah, but he's one of us. He doesn't think about everything he does. He just does it.
But it's like maybe like his friends out there and they're talking in the car and he forgot something from the car, so he's just like, oh yeah, sets it down or something.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have any explicit intention on putting it on or not when he took off his talit. He didn't think in that moment whether he's going to come back and put it on or not.
Doesn't make much sense to me.
Why not? Most people, this category. Most people, when they take off their talit, they don't explicitly think I'm coming to put it back on or not. That's what I would think. Most people are not that calculated.
Just watch you put the tefillin away. Like you've taught us, like at the end of davening, you should try to keep your tefillin on and study a little bit more Torah. And usually, something's going on in the synagogue that would benefit that. Like usually, if it's Ashkenazi, they're giving you some little Chafetz Chaim lecture.
Right, yeah,
here,
of course.
you're giving that daily halakha.
But
So ideally, you should
under
wait.
prayer, though. You're not doing it in the middle of davening. Off. You know.
But most people are. Most people are pulling their stuff off at Kelakinu.
All right, but
Or at,
still, they have the
Alania.
intention of that they're finishing davening. They're not just mindless, hoping they're not mindlessly doing it, right? You're saying
Robotic.
Yes.
This is your hand.
In my experience is.
I don't know. Rabbi Tauber is always talking about against the railing against the robot Jews. He's I think the biggest problem today. That I mean, maybe it's not you're an intense guy, Zev, but
Zev's a holy guy.
Am I so kavanatic? I don't know.
Maybe you are because Jack.
My mind wanders a lot.
When the opportunity is there, people will take off their film as fast as possible because their mind is already packed into their work life. And in the morning, they want to get out fast, and as soon as they can possibly do it, they'll do it. So it's usually a sign that they're someplace else mentally, in my opinion.
Right. So let's talk about a talit. It could be taken off tefillin. Like it requires a certain. You have to wrap them up, put them in the boxes. Talking about taking off your talit. How many times have people taken off their talit in the tefillah? Let me give you an example. You're in an Ashkenazi synagogue. This happens all the time. You're the one Sephardic guy that has a talit on. Or you're the married guy and there's a single Kohen who's going to do Birkat Kohanim. It's never happened in Yom Kippur. It doesn't have a talit. The synagogue doesn't have a talit. So you're giving your talit to people. You're handing your talit to somebody. Did you at that moment think, like, oh, he's going to come give me my talit within half an hour or not? Or you just took it off. You weren't thinking anything when you took it off.
You talit up. You wanted it as soon as possible.
But you're not thinking about the ramifications of you not
you
wearing a
feel
talit anymore, right? Not wearing one.
But usually when you do that, you plan on getting it back.
Okay, so Barry's saying that's not a good example. I can accept that.
So are you saying when you're not thinking of the intention that time is not a factor in whether you say a bracha or not?
No, we're trying to create a scenario about a person who's not thinking about what he's doing.
Yeah.
And Zev is appalled to believe there are Jews who don't think about what they do before they do that.
Well,
It's just under certain circumstances, it doesn't make any sense.
Are you from Berdichev?
No,
You judging everyone favorably, Zev?
I am, but when you finish davening, you finish davening.
So we're not talking about like finishing
You're not going in
davening.
the middle of davening just suddenly throw off your talit.
Yeah, you ever seen like someone like
My
they're
cell
chasing?
phone's ringing. Sure, take
No,
off my
they're
talit.
chasing their little kid. They take off the talit and run after him. You think at that moment they thought about whether or not they're going to come back and put on that talit?
They don't take all this salad, turn after the kids.
I've seen this happen a lot. People are like, oh, I need to get something from the kiddush hall, or maybe you haven't seen this before, but this is.
There's whole shuls where they got like a regular talit rack, and then there's like talit pegs or something outside the bathroom or talit pegs.
Right.
Yeah, but you're still thinking about it before you go to the bathroom.
Okay, so let's give a situation of a person
You're not just.
who's religiously brain dead. Okay, we're gonna go with that. If he comes back and wears it within half an hour, he doesn't have to make a second blessing. All of these opinions are according to Rabbi David Yosef, not according to Rabbi Yosef Karo.
you're saying with or without intention, comes back within a half hour.
Well, even without intention, as long as it's within half an hour,
It doesn't-
it's okay.
Half an
So
hour.
why would he even make a distinction?
Well, he's giving you all the scenarios and their rules. He could have just included this in the first
Yeah.
paragraph, but maybe he wanted to take up more space in the book. ואפילו באותה שעה, הסיר מעליו גם את הטלית קטן,
You're thinking like an author.
yeah? And even if within half an hour, I used to tell my students to write papers, and they would have these like double-spaced letters the size of Og Melech HaBashan would come in like 3 words on a paper. Right, it's a 300-page essay. Right, exactly. Maybe he's trying to fill, I don't know, or he's trying to keep things clear by not confusing terms together. ואפילו באותה שעה, and even if within the same hour, not the same hour, even if within the same time they took off his big talit, גם הסיר מעליו את הטלית קטן, he also took off the small tzitzit. We're trying to say the reason why a person... I'll explain. We're trying to say the reason why a person doesn't have to make a blessing again, Rabbi David Yosef said, because he still has this continuation of tzitzit. It's still wearing tzitzit. He didn't fully remove the tzitzit from himself. Which I hear that approach. I understand it. What if a person takes off both?
Well, there's some Hasidim who wear their...
Very good. So you're talking about such a situation.
Yeah.
Somebody who wears their tzitzit over their clothes.
Yeah,
And so he takes off both when he goes to the bathroom or he goes to
Would
get
you
himself
have
a
to
cup of
take
coffee.
over the Tali Katan if you wore it over your shirt before you go to the bathroom?
Probably not.
I wouldn't think so.
Probably not. But he did. This guy did. I don't know if he was machmer. Just there are some people, they have all kinds of strange customs. When I was in yeshiva, there was a guy, every time he went to the bathroom, he took off his shirt. I don't know why. It was always over the railing of the bathroom. What did the shirt have to do with the bath? I have no idea. But people have all kinds of things. So here, the Spirit took off his tzitzit. ואפילו עשה כן שלא בשעת התפילה. And even if he did this not during davening time, וכל שכן אם עשה כן באמצע התפילה. Now especially if he does this in the middle of tefillah, the assumption is he's going to come back and pray again. So in a situation where a person didn't think anything, but they were in the synagogue, they were in the middle of praying, you can assume that they had in mind that they were going to come back and put on their talit.
Yeah.
Okay, so over there he wouldn't make a blessing.
Now,
אבל ברכה
you
חצי
can't
שעה.
take the talis to the bathroom, you just take it out.
Right. So the assumption is that if he's still in the middle of tefillah, he subconsciously has in mind he's coming back here to put on his talit. That's why he wraps it up and puts it on his chair, or that's why he hangs it somewhere where he could remember. The assumption is he's coming back to put on his talit. But after half an hour, b'chol inyan, in any case, chozel v'varich, he has to make a blessing again. אפילו אם בשעה שפשט הטלית היה בדעתו לחזור לבושע, even if he had in mind, I'm going to come back and put on my talit, but half an hour passed, that's it. Time's over, time's up, you have to make a new bracha. So you're taking this half an hour pretty seriously. And this half an hour is less what you think and more about what you, how the amount of time that you wait.
25 minutes to 30 minutes. How do you know it's that half an hour?
You know what you remind me of? There's a company in New York called Ner Mitzvah. Have you heard of it? You probably have heard of it. They sell all kinds of like Havdalah candles and Shabbat candles, Chanukah candles. Those are the ones who brought the Chanukah candle. And Ner Mitzvah are incredible. They will make anything a Jew needs, they'll make it, even if there's no use for it. Like they create markets that didn't exist before. You ever found a package of sponges that are red, blue, and green for meat, dairy, and parb?
Yeah.
They're the guys who invent these things. They have, for example, someone once made fun of them. They have like a traveling Shabbat kit, which is a little bag with like 18 pieces. It has an inflatable Kiddush cup and a washing cup, the collapsible washing cup. It has a miniature Havdalah candle. It has like a fold-out miniature candelabra with two candles, like all kinds of things. It fits in a little.
Sounds like a
It's a whole thing Shabbat. And they have a plata cover and all kinds of things they come up with. So someone once made fun of them that for Chanukah they put Cheerios in a bag, and it was labeled Sufganiyot seeds. That's what these guys do. So they invented for Chanukah this year. They put out a new product, and it was real. And it was a special timer that attaches to your Chanukiah that has an immediate 30-minute countdown. That way you know if your candles have been lit for long enough, or you should relight them. Because you should light your candles for at least 30 minutes. So they had a special timer that it does the chan. You could just do it on your phone, you could do it on your oven or on your. But they invented a thing that looks nice next to your Chanukiah, and that's how they make their money. These guys are incredible.
Useful too.
They probably sell them on the Sky Mall.
Just imagine who works with like bored yeshiva guys or something. I don't know who does that. So yes, maybe they have a special timer from Ner Mitzvah that you put in your tali bag, and the minute you take off your tali and put on the chair, a timer starts working. I don't know how it works, but that's how you know 25 or 30 minutes. Aval poshet talito me'alav. But a person who takes off his talit, al dat shelo lachzor, he knows I'm intentionally not going to put back on my talit. For example, give me an example.
How is it not
You're
going
done
to die?
davening.
Very good. At the end of davening, you put your talit back in the bag.
End of the
You don't
davening.
intend to wear this till tomorrow. Is there any greater kavanah than that? When you wrap it up and put it in the talit bag? No. This is so you have in mind, you're not coming litatev bashani to wear it again. Now what happens? You're on your way out of the Beit Knesset. Someone says, hey, you want to join us for the second minyan? We need some help. and then they give you an aliyah. And now you want to go up to the Torah, so you take your talit out of the bag. Do you make a bracha on that talit or not?
Yes. Oh, depends if it's half an hour.
Well, but you had in mind when you took it off.
You had no expectation you're going to be part of the
You thought you
second
were through.
minyan or
Yeah,
get
so
an
I
guess you
aliyah,
have
so you have
to.
to say a
Yeah,
prayer
you-
again.
Yeah.
According
So
So
to
does it go based on 30 minutes, or does it go based on... Right, this is not according to Maran. Maran would say, of course you make a blessing.
yeah,
It's according
But
to the other poskim, yes. Let's see. Im chazar bo, ורוצה לחזור ולהתעטף בה, if you now want to put it back on, again, אפילו מיד אחר שפשטה, even if you didn't even put it in the bag yet, you just took it off with the intention to finish tefillah, צריך לחזור לברך, you immediately have to make a new blessing.
Which is the
Maran, Maran is
This is Maran.
very good idea by Maran.
וכן אם קיפל הטלית ונתנה בתוך כיס הטלית. Now if you folded it and put it in the talit bag, הרי זה כאילו חשב בפירוש לא לחזור ולבשה. This is as if a person is saying out loud, I have no intention to put my talit back on again. ולכן כשחוזר ומתעטף בה, and therefore when a person comes back and makes it and wraps himself up in it, אפילו מיד לאחר שקיפלה, even after you immediately fold it, צריך לחזור ולברך, you must go back and make a blessing.
Now, when you do a second minyan again, you don't do the tefillah again. You just
No, you just part of it.
And you wouldn't be. Could you be asked over and over again? Hey, can you be the 10th guy? We have a third.
You could always
fourth
say it. You
minyan.
could always say no.
I know, but
Could you? Yeah, you could sit there all day long. Or you could be the 10th man.
be the 10th guy?
I'm sure there's somebody out there who makes money being the 10th man in Minyanim. I'm sure
In
there's.
Sfat, they have that.
I'm sure there's such a thing. Like,
Minion factory.
so
It's the only jobs available.
if you've already davened and you're not starting davening, can you get an aliyah?
yeah.
If you what, Jack?
If you've already davened and you're in the second minyan, just to make a minyan.
Oh,
Can you get an aliyah for the Torah?
Yes.
Even if you had an aliyah on the first minion?
I've seen that happen.
Sure.
Many times where, someone already davened and they come in and they give him an aliyah because appreciate the fact that he helped them make it.
It happened,
And here he's busy saying, "Please don't give me Misha Berach. I have to get to work. I'm 2 minutes late."
So why
They have sometimes these people that do these minyanim. Oh, these people who do these minyanim, they don't realize that there's people have lives they have to go to, places they need to go, jobs that are waiting, wives that are waiting.
Angry.
Hope not so angry. The next part is a whole different discussion. What happens if you take off your talit and you have in mind to wear a second talit? It's not the same as remember originally we discussed what if you're wearing one talit and you want to put on top of that another talit? The discussion here is, here's a talit, I made a blessing on this talit. I'm taking it off because now I found my talit. So you made a blessing on the synagogue talit because you couldn't find yours. It turns out that somebody else was wearing yours because he didn't think it was yours, he thought it was his. Now he gives it back to you. Do you have to make a blessing on that second talit?
Because you already made it on the synagogue talit, so you're saying a different talit. You're asking.
Yes.
Whether you make a different.
You're taking off the first talit in order to put on another talit.
Oh, you say, here's my talit. I don't need the synagogue talit.
Yes.
That's a good question. But the question would be, does the bracha apply to the specific garment?
Very good. Or to the yes, that's the question. הפושט טליתו מעליו על דעת להתעטף בו, לדעת להתעטף בטלית אחרת. One who takes off a talit in order to wrap himself in a different talit. Oh, this is an even crazier scenario. Watch this. Watch this. A guy comes to the Beit Knesset and he sees a talit and he puts it on. He thought it was his. Then he sees another talit on the shelf. Wait, this is not mine. That's mine. And he takes off this talit, picks up that talit, And then realized, no, that's not mine. The first one I was wearing was mine.
So a
Really
better,
confused.
more practical example, that might happen sometime, could happen, but.
Give me a better.
This is a good example.
Yes.
Because when I use a talit from a shul, and you put on the talit, and then I say the bracha and it's on, then I see it's falling off me already because it's too loose, it just doesn't stick to your garment. And every 2 minutes I'm going like this and like this and like this. I don't want to do that the whole time. So I get another talit. I take it off and put another one on. That will fit.
But now we further complicated the case.
You tell me.
You took it off
Yeah.
because it wasn't working for you, and you saw another one.
Yeah.
And then you go over to that one. I mean, you take off talit number one.
Yeah.
You go to the talit rack to take off talit number two. You realize all of them are not kosher, and so you're stuck with the first one. Now you're putting back on the first one because you have no choice between the two evils. This is the better evil. Did you make a blessing on your talit again?
I haven't gotten to that point because usually when you take off the talit and you realize it's falling off, you're not going to find one that's worse. You're going to find one that's better, hopefully.
Maybe you find one that was ripped or one that was dirty, or that's the only one left.
You could do that.
There's a bar mitzvah on the shul. There are no more left. You thought there were some left. Oh, whatever. This is the scenario we're talking about.
Okay.
What do? You fall into the category of a person who took off his talit even for a moment. So technically, according to Maran, you probably have to make a blessing again. But you also fall into the category of someone who made a blessing on one talit, perhaps with the intention of wearing a second talit. But then you didn't wear the second talit, you went back and put on the first talit. And who said halakha wasn't interesting? Let's do this. V'shuv nimlach b'da'ato, and now he goes back, he wants to go back and wear the first one again. Tzarich lachzor u'levarech. You have to go back and make the blessing. ואפילו בא לחזור ולהתעטף בטלית הראשונה מיד אחר שפשטה, and even if you didn't do this whole thing of going over to another talit rack and looking through the talit, I mean, you didn't do any action. You took it off and said, you know what, I'll just stay with this. Then you put it back on, you have to make a second blessing. Like Maran. Maran says this. This is Maran's opinion. Maran's whole opinion is the moment you take off your talit and you put it on, you have to make a blessing again.
So, can I look at this from a more Kabbalistic direction?
Sure.
That there's obviously some type of connection you have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ein Sof when you have a talit on, and that connection is interrupted when you take it off. It seems to be something about the status of that connection on that level.
It could be, and if you look into the books of Kabbalah, you do find that talit is a special kind of mitzvah that surrounds you, that wraps you, kind of like a sukkah. Interesting enough, by sukkah there's a question: what if you walk in and out of the sukkah? Do you make a blessing again? Are they two separate mitzvot, or can you leave the sukkah and condition to come back into the sukkah? I mean, technically, if you live in the sukkah the whole 8 days, would you ever really make a blessing? Imagine if you had a synagogue in your sukkah, and your bedroom was in your sukkah, and you never left your sukkah.
Maybe make it once on the first day and then you're done.
Remember, so you go to the bathroom, but you're planning on coming back 2 seconds later. Did you make a blessing on the sukkah again? Does the blessing happen every day? The only reason you make a blessing on the sukkah by kiddush is because you weren't there in the morning. You were at the Beit Knesset. You're coming back home to eat. Now you make a blessing again. It's an interesting question. So by talit, we see that it's much more severe. Like once you take it off, it's over. It's done. It's like unplugging something from the wall. You're plugging it back in. You're starting all over again. It could be there's something connected to this.
So it's really about the talit. It's not about saying the blessing once.
Very good. Very good.
I mean, it doesn't cover the whole day. It covers just
That
garment.
very nice. So you find that the talit only covers that. I won't even say that garment because you are including your small tzitzit with it, but it's covering that one time of putting it on. So every putting on of a talit warrants a new blessing, technically.
And what about times when it's not a mitzvah to put on the talit?
Like
Let's say you want to put on the afternoon.
you still make a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it forbidden to do that?
No, not at all.
I've seen, like for you do like Shabbat minchas.
Right. You can wear a talit all day long, and be sure that's originally the mitzvah. only after sunset we don't make a blessing anymore in a talit. That's why Yom Kippur when we wear a talit, we're careful to come before sunset and make the blessing on the talit. Because you can't make, or like when we marry a couple off in the Sephardic community, they wrap up in a talit under the chuppah. If it's before sunset, the chatan makes the blessing litanef b'tzitzit, and then shechianu. If it's after sunset, the chatan just makes the shechianu because you can't make the litanef b'tzitzit anymore. Because night is not a time of tzitzit. Tomorrow's question that we're going to begin with is Jack's, which is, what if I had a talit? It wasn't comfortable, slipped off, whatever happened to it, I wanted to switch it out. Can I carry over that first bracha to the second talit? That's what tomorrow's going to know about.